What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Mikey McNuggets, Earl the Pearl, Anthony Antonelli here for another episode edition of Behind the Glass, your favorite producers podcast of your favorite Cleveland-based YouTube show in the entire world. Earl, you just woke up from a nap. How was the much-needed rest?
Man, exactly what you said. Much needed. Getting this link tweeted out right now. Yeah, much needed, man. I don't get much sleep, so when I sleep, I try to sleep as hard as I can for as long as I can. So,
And you yawned before we went live, and Earl said, "Don't do that. I just woke up." So, are you about to do this podcast and then immediately hit the bed?
No, I got to finish up everything for tomorrow's show, but I did not take a nap today. I regret not taking a nap today. I probably could have used it before this.
Ant is producing tomorrow, so
I was planning on a longer nap, and then it kind of dawned on me like, hold on, the Cavs play at 7:30. We kind of gonna go live a little earlier. So,
you know what? After last night's Cavs performance, maybe people would have liked an alternative viewing option to watching the Cavs and the Knicks. We're going to talk plenty about the Cavs and the Knicks here coming up. We're also going to talk some Browns. Deshaun Watson was back at practice, and I love Earl, and there may not be anything I enjoy more coming to Cleveland is how we analyze practice throws as if it was Oppenheimer's plans for the nuclear bomb. There is not a single movement undergone by any player in these videos that we have not analyzed, cross-analyzed, referenced back to Deshaun's days in Houston. Hey, he took a half step to his left. That's new. It is going to be.
He said that's new.
I mean, am I wrong though? I mean,
you're right.
Velocity on practice throws now, and we're going to get to that in a sec. We got a question though, real quick for Earl from Devontae Travis. Open pit or Slimans? I haven't been to open pit, so I'm going to recuse myself from here.
I'm going to go open pit. I love some Slimans, but I'm going to go open pit because there's more options for me there. You can get the Polish boy. You can get the wing dinner. You can get the whole combination with the 3 rib bones and 2 wings, extra sauce on the fries. The only problem with open pit is they never in life answer their phone. Like for the duration that they're open during the day, they will not answer their phone. You really got to pull up on them in order to get your food. But that's a great question. I love questions like that.
I'll be honest. You have mentioned open pit once or twice, Earl.
Yeah.
Where is open pit? I haven't actually come.
It's off of St. Clair. We might have to slide one day after work. You know, it's not like a sit down spot or anything like that.
It's a grab and go.
It's a grab and go. So we'll go together. So
okay.
You know,
I get what you're saying. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll go together. Everybody put their order in. We'll have, you know what I'm saying? Like, trust me, you will enjoy the food.
Devontae said, I got to go. Well, hey, whenever Earl wants to rock over to open pit, I'm down to try it out. If it's even in the same discussion as Slimans, we'll be in for a good lunch. We're going to need another minute or two before we dive into this Deshaun Watson practice throw. Will he play? Will he not play discussion? We're going to talk plenty about Evan Mobley and the Cavs. Earl was at the game last night, and I cannot wait to hear his impression of kind of the atmosphere as they played again. Oh, what's up?
Did you see the video I sent? I am so proud of my new phone, man. Did you see me zoom in and got the clear picture of Donovan Mitchell? I was like, oh, snap.
The iPhone 15 is what scares me about technology. We are approaching a day and age where like technology is too good for its own good. And Earl, you were on the meeting with Ian last week when he pulled back the curtain, this behind the scenes, behind the glass. Ian is our like Tegna digital guru analytics guy that works with us. Well, he's letting us go now because we have reached a point with UCSS where he's only needed in certain situations, not a day-to-day thing. And one of the new projects he's working on with Tegna is AI. And AI scares the you-know-what out of me.
Yeah.
Like the absolute you-know-what out of me. And listen, technology is just getting too good. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to piss off the robots in the future. They're going to get every podcast and every word I've ever spoken, every text I've ever sent. I will not talk anything bad about technology. You robots are probably beautiful and nice people, but stay the hell away from me. I want nothing to do with y'all.
It's funny, man, because, you know, the last time that we did an event, I think it was Cavs Media Day, and that's what kind of like struck a nerve. Like, it's finally time to upgrade the phone. Let me stop being cheap. It's just upgrade the phone. And it was mainly like for the camera part of it. And so like I had pretty good seats. Well, I was just recording the intro. When I got to zoom in, like slow, see Donovan Mitchell that cleared, then zoom it all the way back out. I was like, oh.
Make a videographer out of you yet.
So hey, real quick, it ain't like Simon's or open pit. I'm down with either. It's the 15 the same as the 14. I don't know. I had the iPhone 11 for the longest. Like my phone was paid off, and you couldn't tell me to upgrade my phone unless it was broke. But duty calls, and you got to make sure like what we putting out there, the product got to be crisp. So can't shoot no shorts with no 11.
No, you gotta do what you gotta do. And we took some headshots and some pictures with the 15. The video looks phenomenal. I see Adam H said that he's a software engineer. He leans in on AI daily already. Yeah, that terrifies me. I'm just
I do like the AI memes though. The AI memes.
It's
gonna be a good NBA season.
Yeah. All right, well, guys, let's hop into it. We've waited a few minutes for people to get in. We'll get some more people chiming in. If you didn't see this, and Anthony, if you'd be so kind while I'm kind of setting the scene, can you go through Mary Kay's Twitter and just post a couple links of Deshaun throwing the football today in the chat for anyone who may have missed it?
I'm on it.
If you were living under a rock and haven't had a chance to go on Twitter yet, good for you, first off. Twitter's a toxic place. But what you can get from Twitter is videos today of Deshaun Watson throwing a football. He was back at practice. It was an indoor practice. The reporters who were there said it was the normal, standard quarterback routine. Zach Jackson reported that he actually pushed off and waved off some of the backups so he could get a few extra reps in the throwing drills, which is not uncommon, but definitely a positive sign that his shoulder's feeling good enough to throw a couple extra passes. Did he have more zip on the ball? Did he not have more zip on the ball? To me, it looked like there was a tiny bit more. It wasn't like he was letting it rip 60 yards downfield by any means. But at the end of the day, Earl, Deshaun Watson was back on the practice field throwing routes to his receivers. And anytime we see Deshaun in action in any capacity, he was shut down all of the Seattle week leading up to the game. I think it's a step in the right direction that we might see DW4 back on the field in the near future for the Cleveland Browns.
Oh man, big facts. But listen, the sooner he get back up under center, man, the better it is for everybody, the fan base, the team. We all kind of stressed out, frustrated behind this whole quarterback situation. So if he's healthy enough to get out there and actually be productive, the sooner that can happen, I think it's better for everybody. Honestly, man, if he is, what's today, Wednesday? If he's practicing today, I think that's a positive sign for real. I heard Joe Thomas speak yesterday on the Cleveland Browns radio network. Not yesterday, last week, I'm sorry, on a Cleveland Browns network about Deshaun Watson taking all the reps in that Friday practice. And he was explaining how it's a huge difference between taking all and most of the reps in a Wednesday practice versus a Friday practice. How Friday practice is kind of similar to a walkthrough. It's not as intense. Yeah. It's not much going into it. So to see him actually out there taking reps today in a Wednesday practice, I think that's a good sign. If he can play Sunday, I would definitely want him to play Sunday. I don't think no team in the NFL is an easy win or a cakewalk. But, man, like if you're going to get your feet wet, like this would be the nice time for you to get your feet wet before we go play Baltimore. I just think like if you can play, this will be the week 2 play and try to knock off some of that rust, man, and kind of get yourself used to getting hit and see exactly, the extent of how far you can go with the injury that you have. I trust that a little bit more this week versus him going out fresh next week versus Baltimore. But if it have to be Baltimore, it is what it is. But today was a good sign that possibly we can see him Sunday.
I'm so mad you said that, Earl. I'm so mad you said that because I thought I was going to be kind of the contrarian here. And I literally have had a change of heart in the last 2 hours. Literally in the group chat, I sent the video and Jason said he would sit him till Baltimore. And I was like, I agree. And then literally an hour later, I was like, what the hell are you thinking? You're an idiot. Here's why I'm calling myself an idiot. And I'm on the panel tomorrow. And I'm going to say this again. I know Bull's going to disagree. We saw Deshaun Watson come back last season after missing an entire season and serving an 11-game suspension. He was rusty. We saw him try to come back against Indy. He was hurt, clearly, and a little bit rusty. I'll use Joe Burrow for an example. Did not go through much of training camp with the calf injury. He was rusty week 1 against Cleveland. I do think there is something to be said about Deshaun Watson, who has just frankly not played a ton of football in the last 2.5 seasons, needing reps on the football field to get back to being the Deshaun Watson we were accustomed to seeing when he was in Houston. Mm-hmm. Next week is Baltimore. This week is Arizona. I do not feel comfortable putting a rusty Deshaun Watson in a game against Baltimore, who currently has the number one ranked defense in the NFL. They have surpassed Cleveland as the number one ranked defense in the NFL. If there was ever a game to let a Deshaun Watson, who may be a little rusty, kind of work off the rust, get some kinks out, it would be against an Arizona defense that's 27th in the league in passing, in stopping the pass, however you want to say it. This is the game to allow Deshaun Watson to work through some of the issues that he's had against Indy, which once again was health related. If he's healthy enough to play, I don't see the benefit in letting him sit one more game because the initial timeline of this injury was 2 to 6 weeks. It has been 6 weeks. It wasn't 2 to 8 weeks. It wasn't 2 to 9 weeks. It wasn't 2 to 7 weeks. It was 2 to 6 weeks. Now, every injury is different. However, if he is technically at the point where he is, all right, it's healed as much as it's going to heal this season, it's little pain tolerance or you feel better, I want him out there against Arizona because I don't think a rusty Deshaun Watson against a number one ranked defense in Baltimore is a recipe for success. I think the Browns could beat Arizona if Deshaun Watson's not at 80%, whatever he's at, 60, 65%. I think they can win. If he's at 60% against Baltimore, that is a hard-ass game.
And before you say that, I'll say this. He spoke to that time frame too, and he said the time frame was just a basic time frame based on the information that him and his team had gathered, and that he really wasn't sure, if the timeline would have him out longer than the 6 weeks, etc. So, like the timeline thing really don't matter too much. I don't think his injury is going to be 100% at any point of this season. So, like to your point, once he's at a point to where like he can do because he said it wasn't about the pain. It was about being able to make the throws and grip the football. And so if he can do those things and he can do those things to where he feel comfortable enough, then get out there and go play football. Deshaun Watson presents our best chance to win at quarterback. As far as a rusty Deshaun Watson versus Baltimore, I'll tell you like this. I'll take a rusty Deshaun Watson versus Baltimore than a PJ Walker that'll be making his third start in a row. You know what I mean? That's just keeping it all the way real. Like a rusty Deshaun Watson is still better than PJ Walker, who at that time would have had consistent reps. So like, we need our quarterback out there. At the end of the day, the defense, they've done as much as they can. The running game has been sustainable throughout. And we all know that we need competent quarterback play. As far as like, something else on Deshaun Watson, and
before you get to this other thing, can I just chime in one thing on what you said?
What's up?
So when Deshaun got hurt, and we had Dr. Jesse Morse come on, and we've had 10 different doctors tell us it's a baseball injury, right? Jay Crawford said he had the same injury in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
When Tristan McKenzie gets hurt and he's ready to come back, do they throw him up against the New York Yankees in his first game back, or do they let him go to AA and AAA and get a couple warm-up starts in?
He went to AA and AAA, but that's totally different. That's totally different. You got way more games to deal with than you do in the NFL.
My point is, if this is a quote-unquote baseball injury, before he gets back to feeling good enough to go against the A-League team, Arizona's the equivalent of a AAA team in this situation.
No, I agree with you. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like whether it hurts or not,
for sure. No, like if he can go
start throwing 100, if he could play, this is the game to let him get that proverbial rust off and figure out how he can play best with the limitations his shoulders provide.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if he can go, he can go. And if he can't go this week and then his first week back is against Baltimore, then damn it, so be it. Your first week back is just against Baltimore.
Yeah.
The sooner you out there, the better off it is for our football team. We out here trying to go win as many games as we can to secure a playoff spot and then see what happens from there. Keyshawn Johnson, I thought, made a really good point. I'm gonna kind of like, just speak to it a little bit because it struck a nerve within me. And he talked about last week about how, a lot of people are real quick to write Deshaun Watson off after less than 15 starts within his Cleveland Browns career, and how we have to understand, man, like this thing is take time. This is a long-term relationship. This is not a fling. And so, we got to be patient with this dude. I mean? We can't write him off. He's hurt. He hasn't been on the field. There's been a lot of different situations surrounding him that has kept him from getting consistent on-field in-game reps. But, like, it'll be all right. Things will be all right.
Yeah.
Things will be all right. I know I'll be emotional in the moment after the game when things is like that. But that's us, man. That's still a fan of me. I thought the fan of me was dead. Clearly it ain't. So, Like, that's just
Yeah,
how
no,
it go.
it never truly dies. You could, unless you're Jason Lloyd, who has somehow made a deal with the devil to where nothing affects him at all, good or bad. That's it. Like Jason's the only one. And if you were in Kevin Stefanski's shoes and the doctors tell you Deshaun Watson cannot hurt himself worse, but like he could hurt himself in another way, but his shoulder's not going to get worse by playing. Do you play Watson? Do you play DTR? Do you play Walker? Stefanski said Walker would be the quarterback if Deshaun can't go, but what would you do with Watson?
I'm with you, Mike. I think the Cardinals would be a perfect warm-up game before going in to Baltimore because we play. Do we play in Baltimore when we play them next, or are we playing them
Yeah.
at home?
No, it's in
I don't know off
Baltimore.
the top. Yeah,
In Baltimore.
I'd warm him up against the Cardinals at home in front of a friendly crowd against a worse team. I'm totally on your side. And then real quick too, Earl, how patient can we be though if we're saying this Browns team is a win now team? I understand it's a long-term relationship with Deshaun, but as the team overall, how patient can you be?
I just feel like, I mean, as a team, as a fan base, as an organization, as a member of the media, I think we need to just recognize what's going on. Deshaun Watson is in a flame. That dude got a 5-year contract. And no matter what drama that goes on that surrounds him and this entire situation, to me, he's going to be the last man standing. Kevin Stefanski will lose his job before Deshaun Watson is traded. Andrew Berry will lose his job before Deshaun Watson is traded. Because when we talk about the money, and I don't like talking about the money, the cap hit that it would cost the Browns to release or trade him, I think before 2025 or 2026 or something like that, it's like absolutely ridiculous. And so, like, for us, I'm saying be patient because he's not going anywhere. And I think it's that whole thing I spoke about, when we was on the show Monday, that, sometimes we get frustrated behind based on how we think things should be or how we want them to be. And I kind of like try to put a little bit of my everyday life approach into my sports takes. And I tend to look at things like, okay, this is the situation. This is what it is. So how can I make the best of it? And in order for me to make the best of the Deshaun Watson situation, I got to understand that this dude's going to be my quarterback for at least the next 3 seasons. So let me try to look at this thing as optimistic as I can, so I don't want to frustrate my damn self in a long time.
I mean, I get the frustration. I also understand that Deshaun's on a 5-year contract and he's not going anywhere. Like the Browns, for better or worse, I'm going to use the word stuck, but I don't mean that in a bad way. The Browns are tied to Deshaun Watson through the remainder of this contract, barring any ridiculous circumstances. And that's just how it is. So I think it's fair to evaluate on what we've seen so far. I think it's unfair to write him off completely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Exactly. That's how you put it. We evaluate what we see on a day-to-day, game-to-game basis from what we see so far. But to write him off completely, that's kind of asinine. And we only saying that because of some of the things that's been talked about over the last couple of weeks regarding his will and want to play and faking an injury and just everything like that. You know what I mean? Like that dude is going to be our quarterback for a while. So
the whole Deshaun isn't tough thing cracked me up. The best story I've ever heard about Deshaun was he cracked his rib when he was with the Texans and he couldn't fly. The doctor's like, you're gonna die. He got on a bus and bust him and his personal trainer and coach, like his squad, from Houston to Jacksonville and back to play in a game. Like he bust. He was like, I'm not missing this game. I don't care if I have a cracked and broken rib. I'll bust my ass to Jacksonville. That's not like Houston to Jacksonville is like a 16-hour drive. That's not a quick little skirt down the interstate, Dallas to Houston. That's crossing many state lines. And, if Deshaun's healthy enough to play, if he is healthy enough, and I repeat everything with the caveat of he's not healthy, he can't play. But if Deshaun is healthy enough to play, I want to see him out there at least for a little bit against Arizona. And then you could reevaluate where he stands. Is he close? Is he not close? If he's still not close after Arizona, maybe you do send him to the IR. But you need to see it. I need to see game action. We talked about getting fooled by Elijah Moore in the preseason hype videos and all the training camp videos and these videos from practice where he looks amazing and he just hasn't produced in the field yet. And maybe he will. Maybe, but to this point he hasn't. Like I'm not going to buy in off practice throws from Deshaun Watson. I need to see tangible game throws with a real pass rush where it's not predetermined he can't get hit. I need to see if he can handle those situations before I throw him in or make any determination, good or bad, what his future is this season. Like I need to see those reps, and I'd much rather see them against Arizona than I would against Baltimore.
I mean, yeah, like, the sooner he can get out there and play, the better. Um, Saying that with the mindset of at the same time you can't rush him back. And if he's healthy enough to play, then go out there and let him play. And the only people that know that is the doctors that's evaluating him, and he know that. He knows his body. So, us as intermediate fans, we're gonna speculate this thing until
Yeah.
we see him out there playing more than one game. So that's just how it's gonna go. But based on how the quarterback situation is with the quarterback room, it looks like, I know Kevin Stefanski talked about, he's comfortable with the room, he's comfortable with the players in the locker room, and all that's cool. And I get it, it's cool to tell us that. But everybody knows we'll all feel a whole lot better with Deshaun Watson is back
Yeah.
under center playing quarterback for the Browns, simply based on trade deadline came and went, and the quarterback room stayed the same. He's already said that PJ Walker will be the starting quarterback if Deshaun Watson can't play. And I know a lot of the fan base have mixed emotions based on how they feel about PJ Walker being a starting quarterback, and things like that. So this team, they need their quarterback. We talked ad
Yeah.
nauseum that the Browns is only going to go as far as Deshaun Watson takes us, and we've been able to survive, with Deshaun Watson either not playing well or not being available to this point of the season. So if he can get healthy enough, man, to lead us to some wins that'll lead us to a playoffs, then hey, it is what it
Yeah.
is.
And I'm going to say something, and I want you to let me know if you agree, disagree, totally disagree, or whatever in the middle. And then we'll move on to some Cavs here in a sec. But the fact that Andrew Berry did not make a more aggressive push for a quarterback. They called on Jacoby Brissett, but they offered a sixth. The report was Washington wanted a third. That's obviously so far on a different end of the spectrum. They were never going to come to the middle there. To me, the fact they weren't more aggressive in upping their offer and or looking at other options tells me they believe Deshaun's closer to coming back than maybe we were willing to believe before we saw him practice today. That they were willing to say, hey, this might just be one more week of PJ Walker before Deshaun's back. Or Deshaun's progressed significantly in the last 2 weeks since Indianapolis. And you know what? We think he's ready. And that's why we're not going to give up a third-round pick for a guy who we know is better than what we have, but not great. Is that any sliver of truth to that, you think?
Yeah, I think so, especially with him practicing today. If he hadn't practiced today, I'd be more inclined to completely disagree with you. But if they knew he was progressing enough that they can practice him today, and he's back to day for this weekend, and they're expecting that they can probably play him this weekend if he's practicing well today, then yeah, I mean, there's no point to go out. I understand why they didn't do anything, and that's why I was hoping they didn't do anything. I'm hoping it's not like G's tinfoil hat where he's like, they know they're good for a year, so they don't care if the season goes poorly or not. I'm assuming that they believe full-heartedly that Watson will be back, not even if not by this Sunday, by the Baltimore game.
Earl,
For,
you think
for
that could be part of it?
me, I don't think that went into the process at all. And if it did, I hope that's not the case. And the reason I say that is because, like, like Deshaun Watson can possibly like re-aggravate that injury and then miss more time. And so, like, I just think that they didn't acquire a quarterback because they couldn't. I don't think it's because they looked at the timeline of Deshaun Watson coming back and saying, okay, so since Deshaun Watson will be back, we finna be okay. You have to understand at this point, especially after Indy, that this is something he's gonna deal with for the rest of the season. And there's a strong possibility that he can get hurt again. And so you can't just be like, cool, he's back. You still need a contingency plan. And I felt like the whole Jacoby Brissett chasing after him report, it sounded like a last ditch effort, especially if you only offered a 6th-round pick. I wouldn't have gave Washington a 3rd-round pick, by the way,
I
for
agree.
Jacoby Brissett. But it just seemed like you kind of start chasing this thing a little bit too late. And so, like, I just hope, like we talked about on the show, that at the end of the day, it don't come back to bite him in the ass. But more importantly, us as fans, hopefully his decision don't come back to bite us in the ass, because we're gonna be the ones that's pissed off, frustrated, and all the things like that. So we'll see.
I wonder if I just thought of this as you were saying that, Earl. I've had this theory for a while, and it's probably not ready to be fully unveiled, but Andrew Berry doesn't seem to like to admit his mistakes. Like, he held on to Anthony Schwartz probably a little longer than we all thought he should. There
Probably.
have been there have been some other draft picks that he has been less than willing to part ways with when it seemed like everyone else knew they had swung and missed on. I hope this isn't the case. I really, really, really hope this isn't the case. But is there any way in the back of his mind, he's like, I don't want to admit that DTR, that trading Dobbs was an issue and we're comfortable with our QB room. So we're just going to rock with them for better or worse because I don't want to admit by going out and bringing someone else in that I effed up. Like, I hope that's not true or not right, and I hope that's way off. But as you were saying that earlier, that thought kind of crept in the back of my head that maybe his own stubbornness was the reason he wasn't more aggressive in pursuing a different backup quarterback.
Sometimes, man, I wonder if he psyched himself out.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I wonder if he's so smart, so intelligent that when he makes some of these moves, that he psych himself out. What I've come to know about Andrew Berry, some of the fans might agree with this. During his tenure here, when it comes to these draft picks, he real quick to get rid of 7th round picks, but he loved him some 5th and 6th round picks.
Well,
and the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Like these late round picks that he really don't care to have versus the ones that he liked to acquire. I really just felt like in a situation like the report was real that he went after Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't feel like he was that stubborn to realize he made a mistake. Him trying to go trade for Jacoby Brissett tells me that he realized he might have messed up. But the fact that all the moves prior to this has put us in a situation to where we really don't have many resources to work a trade or to acquire, upgrades from what we have in the quarterback room. Maybe that's where the stubbornness can be shown a little bit. I feel like DTR though, man. I feel like he was done a little bit unfair, if I'm being totally honest. I know people was pissed the way he played, and he did not play good at all. But I really just don't think Kevin Stefanski did him no favors by not really giving him an opportunity to play since then. Like for you all to kind of like backtrack on all this confidence that you had in him being quarterback to PJ Walker coming off the practice squad to being your starting quarterback, I think it's just kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I think the dude confidence could be shot from something like that. I know some people might look at it the other way, that if you throw him back out there after having a bad performance, it can shell shock him that way. But it don't do anything for your confidence when you mess up for the first time and then you don't even get the opportunity to do it again.
If I mess up, like if I was DTR, like Ant, ready? I'm gonna give you an example. You tell me how you'd react. If I asked you to come up with a graphic for a new segment or whatever, and you were like, what do you want? I'm like, yeah, just do something. And you came back and I was like, I don't like that. Wouldn't you want the chance to redo it?
I mean, yeah, probably.
Right? Like, I think that's human nature. Like DTR, he was put in such a bad position against Baltimore. A, it's a good defense. B, he had split reps and barely took the reps on Friday, which, as Earl alluded to earlier, is a walkthrough. He didn't even show up to the stadium on Sunday knowing he was the starter. I mean, listen, Earl the Pearl came in Monday, thought he was going to be clipping the show, and he ends up sitting on the panel. Not everyone's Earl the Pearl. Not everyone could adapt on the fly like that. It takes a special talent to do that. DTR is good. Did you guys freeze, or am I talking to myself here?
No, but I would say this. I said this.
You guys both stopped moving at the exact same time.
I said this on the call. That means I got the talent to do it, but it also means our system works.
Yeah. Yeah.
The offense works.
And I was producing yesterday until 10:15. So
and what happened? What happened?
I'm not comparing playing quarterback to clipping and stepping in a panel, like two very different things. But you get my point. I'm just
saying the offense works. It works.
Yes. Speaking of Earl and Anthony, by the way, if you guys are members and can drop the Earl and Anthony emojis in the chat, I have not seen them in the chat yet, and I would love to. So if you guys have it, let me see an Ant and Earl emoji in the chat. That's going to be dope. I'm so glad we got to the membership tier to include those two in there because they very much deserve it. But it's going to be.
I can't see them on the restream.
You got to go your phone. Yeah, I got it on my phone on the other side. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read anything in the chat.
No.
But there is, I can see the pictures, and they do look phenomenal.
I look so pale. I hate it.
Yeah.
Well, that's just you, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I know. Like,
unfortunately, look at Earl dropping his own emoji. That's a power play right there.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It is. I asked on Tuesday.
I sent it to my daughter. She was like, So she be so unimpressed.
But I asked on Tuesday, I was like, when's the last time it's Tuesday? We don't know who the starting quarterback for either team is going to be. And then let's fast forward to tomorrow, and we're probably not going to know till Friday that we're not going to know a single starting quarterback in the game until Friday afternoon. Maybe later. Because Kyler Murray today said, I'm feeling great. I'm energized. I want to play this week. Will Jonathan Gannon put him in the game? Will Jonathan Gannon speed up his timeline? TBD, we'll find out. But there is a chance that we have Kyler Murray versus Deshaun Watson, and there's also a chance we have PJ Walker versus Clayton Tune. Could you imagine a bigger drop-off in quarterback matchups from an excitement standpoint than Deshaun Watson versus Kyler Murray to PJ Walker versus Clayton Tune? Like that might be the biggest quarterback matchup drop-off in the history of the NFL.
No, I couldn't imagine that. I would definitely stay away from any FanDuel bets on that game for sure. If that's the quarterback matchup.
Would not touch that line.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you though, for me, the Cardinals don't have really no reason to play Kyler Murray, man. Like, I don't really think they trying to win. And like, from what I understand, like it's some money-based contract incentives, based on what percentage of the snaps he play. And so, like, they might be looking at their situation, like looking at this draft class, like, shoot, I might be able to trade Kyler Murray at the end of the year and save me some money. So I really don't feel like, the fact that like I'm pretty sure he can play. Like, man, they not in a rush to play Kyler Murray at all. Every move that they've made has shown that they're really not interested in winning. So because if they were, Kyler Murray would be the starting quarterback this Sunday against the Browns. That would have been the case. Him speaking to the media, he out here throwing his lob. He trying to play football. But it's a business side of thing, and I just don't think that they're interested in letting that man see the field anytime soon. Now, he will play, but he ain't going to play this Sunday. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah,
Myles Garrett about Myles Garrett should eat.
They were college teammates, right?
Yeah.
A&M, the historic class that produced nothing for the Aggies. Woo! They had 2 5-star quarterbacks in that class, and both made the NFL, and neither did anything at A&M.
Hey, it'd be like that.
Man.
It happens. The whole A&M Kyler thing was a debacle. I'm glad he worked out at Oklahoma. He's fun to watch. And Myles Garrett, this defense, like it's funny that after Friday's show, we talked to, hey, we got to talk more about the other team. We got to do a little more like lead up to the game itself, some game dependent segments. And you look at this Cardinals team, there's just not a lot of interesting things to talk about with the Cardinals. Like, with all due respect to Arizona, seriously, with all due respect, there are not many players who are particularly interesting. There's not many matchups that favor Arizona. And I was going through the board, and we're going to do this on Friday, but I'll ask you guys now. Is there any position group on the field where the Browns don't have the advantage this Sunday? I'm serious.
No, I don't think so. But to for the sake of being a professional, I will say this. I think the Browns got better overall wide receivers, man, but they got a lot of speed. And
they're faster. You're right. They're definitely faster.
They got the speed that you wish the Browns wide receivers had. I think Budda Baker is one of the better safeties in the NFL. Yep. I think Zaven Collins was one of the players that I wanted to draft at the time. I wanted the Browns to draft at the time that he came out. So, they got some dudes, some young talent. I think like that's a team that, I would have looked to kind of try to like pick at to get some young potential players from.
They didn't sell anybody. I was kind of surprised.
So like they got some young talent, man, but they got a long way to go. I don't really think Kyler Murray is part of their future plans, if I'm being all the way honest. I think,
he's not.
Yeah, he was a quarterback that was drafted by the head coach that was part of the old regime. And so that's why another reason why I feel like there's really not a rush to play him. I don't think he's going to be playing for them next year. And the Caleb Williams sweepstakes is real. So
they have the first pick right now. If the season ended, they would be drafting most likely Caleb Williams. And with any team, if you have the first pick, I would say 99.99999% of the time, if there's a generational quarterback, you draft him. Even if you have a decent quarterback, and I think Kyler Murray's fine.
That's not going to happen, and I'm going to piss some people off. That's not going to happen. I know the Browns don't have a first-round pick this year.
If the Browns had a first-round pick, they would draft a quarterback.
No. I would trade because we got our first round pick back in 2025.
Yeah.
I would trade my 2025 first round pick, plus whatever else I got to trade to move up in the draft and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. I swear to God.
I would too.
I swear to God, I would.
I think he's that good.
Real quick. I know it'll piss some people off because it'll be another year with no first round pick.
No, screw that. Listen, if you get Marvin Harrison,
give a damn.
You can have my 2025 first and my 2026.
Yeah,
that dude is so good.
You
didn't
already committed to so many other different levels of this roster, man. And like I said, Deshaun Watson is going to be here. Man, go ahead and go get Marvin Harrison Jr., man, and let him be the predecessor to Amari Cooper when it's all said and done.
Well, there's a chance that right now, if the season ended today, Arizona has the first pick. They most likely take Caleb Williams. And then Chicago is the second and the third pick because they have Carolina's first overall pick from the Bryce Young trade last year. They take Drake May and Marvin Harrison Jr. 2-3. And you talk about a rookie quarterback entering a situation with the best possible option on the outside.
And you could probably flip Justin Fields in that same draft for
a first
round pick.
And here's what I'm saying with the quarterback. This is not a knock on Murray or Fields. Or even in this case, Deshaun, if the Browns have the number 1 overall pick, you get a chance to reset your quarterback market. And a quarterback of a good quarterback on a rookie contract is the single most valuable asset in football. So even if you think Justin Fields could be good one day, if you like any of those quarterbacks, you grade any of the quarterbacks coming out of the draft more than you like your guy, you take it, you trade Fields or Murray or whoever, flip them for an asset. And it starts your entire cycle over. From a football standpoint, it makes so much sense that you'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, but I know that's like I said, that's like really like a hot take. But I would take my 2025 first round pick to trade back up in the first round to package at whatever I got to package it with, and I would attempt to trade for try to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah. I know that's like the most out the box, outlandish, probably would never ever happen scenario, man. But you got to think big, you got to think outside the box type big. So
and Deshaun's had success with receivers like that. He's Marv's bigger than DeAndre Hopkins with a big physical jump ball-esque receiver is exactly what he had the most success with in Houston. It would be the perfect pairing. I don't know how much it would cost, but I'd do it.
What if we didn't trade our second round pick this year for Elijah Moore, stay where we at, and actually drafted a dude like Josh Downs?
Couldn't hurt, but I also, if PJ Walker's throwing the ball, I don't know if it matters.
I'm just saying, man. Just saying.
You want a little snippet of a McNugget fact for Friday?
Sure.
About PJ Walker, and this one hurts to tell y'all, but I got to be honest. If he's starting, we got to do it. PJ Walker has thrown 65% of his passes that are deemed catchable. Not complete or not, but just catchable, 65%. Second lowest in the league is 78%. That's 13% lower than any other quarterback in the league. According to PFF, they grade accuracy trails. 30 is average. 30 is average, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only area of the 4 that they track, it's behind the line of scrimmage, short, intermediate, deep, that is above a 30 is behind the line of scrimmage. Everything he throws beyond the line of scrimmage is essentially a giant crapshoot. So I don't think it really matters if they drafted Josh Downs. The only one who's probably good enough to avoid the PJ Walker effect is Maserati Marv. Other than that,
Noodles Gaming just dropped some knowledge. He said Josh Downs was still on the board when we drafted Cedric Tillman, by the way.
I would have to go back to the draft. Very good chance it was. And we're going to find out. Listen, they traded DPJ. Cedric Tillman is going to have a chance to play. I know we're going to talk about it tomorrow on the show. But he better show us something because there have been plenty of rookie receivers drafted before and after him that have balled out this year.
I wonder why he hasn't been on the field, though. I truly wonder why he hasn't been on the football field.
He hasn't even dressed. That's more concerning to me. He hasn't even dressed. So you guys ready to talk a little Cavs real quick? Earl, you were at the game yesterday, and I know there's a couple of things that we have to touch upon. But first and foremost, your first Cavs game of the year. What was the atmosphere like in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse for a rematch of last year's playoff contention?
Man, shout out to the Cavs, man. Again, I think the Cavs got one of the best fan experiences in town. You know what I mean? Just how they go about the halftime entertainment, the in-between break entertainment. The pricing on their food and drinks is really not that bad compared to what you get when you go down to Cleveland Browns Stadium or something like that. But it felt good to be back outside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Was not a sold out crowd though. Didn't they
That's
really
sad.
expect that for a national televised game against a team that you faced in the playoffs? But I thought I like the new interest video that they have, man. Being inside of there is just always a good time. As far as the game itself, baby, man, Evan Mobley is making me look bad. I said it was I said it was a unicorn year, right? And I get it. We like 4 or 5 games into the season, so I'm not trying to jump out the gym and just make it seem like all hell is breaking loose. But my man just had 6 points, like 6 points, and I get it. But there's no rhyme or reason why Evan Mobley should only have 6 points in an NBA game. No rhyme or reason for that whatsoever, especially coming off a game when you just had 33 and 14. Like, for the love of God, where's the consistency at? And I really expected him to be more up and ready for that game. This is a team that just knocked y'all asses out the playoffs last year. And for Evan Mobley personally, man, this is where your toughness was called into question a lot. And I thought you would have been ready to play on national TV in front of your home crowd. Y'all got the black jersey zones and everything, and that's what you go out there and do. That's the performance you went out there and put forth. The good thing is, man, you got less than 24 hours to go out there and redeem yourself because they play in less than an hour. So,
And you went back, and I know you watched the highlights. What did you think?
It looked like Mobley didn't even want to be on the court. I think it was my first impression. I was listening to you guys, and you guys were texting back and forth about the game. You were saying how bad he looked because I wasn't watching it last night, so went back today. I don't think he even looked bad. I think he just looked uninterested. I mean, there was defensive plays. His arms weren't even going up. He didn't take the ball away from anybody. He was getting boxed out, pushed around underneath. Same thing he did that happened in last year's playoffs. I don't know. He put on 8 pounds of muscle to just stand around kind of. And his only offensive play, Earl, you're asking how he only has 6 points. He stands under the basket and waits for somebody to dump it off to him so he can get an easy dunk. Yeah, I think that was the only 3 times he scored. Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of disappointing to watch. I kept an eye on him throughout, and I didn't watch the full game. So there may have been effort plays that were outside of these highlights that the NBA cuts together that I missed because I didn't see it. But it was really, really disappointing to watch him.
As Earl said, they've played 4 games. It's too early to hit the panic button or the eject button or anything too catastrophic. But we were promised Evan Mobley, the unicorn. And we've gotten Evan Mobley, the My Little Pony version so far this year. He has not taken the steps forward that you would like to see from a guy who was expected to go from nice contributor to a legitimate player. Yesterday was a chance, and I said this on the show earlier, to kind of punch the bully back. We all know how the playoff series went last season. We all know what Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein did to Evan Mobley. And yesterday he came out and it looked like he played scared, which was a little disappointing to me considering the game before he had 33 and 14 against Indiana. Now, with Jared Allen out, Earl, we've talked about this on a number of occasions. We both think the Cavs' best lineup is with Mobley at the 5 and 4 shooters around them. Maybe not the most sustainable in the regular season, but at the end of games, that's their best lineup, or at least their best lineup in terms of modern, today, NBA basketball. Well, in their first 2 games of the season, without Jared Allen, and I'll get to Indy and New York in a second, the first 2 games, they played the Nets and OKC. There are not many 5s in the league, Earl, that Evan Mobley should have the physical advantage over. But guess what? Nick Claxton weighs 193 pounds. The Nets get on him every year to put on more weight. He says he comes in bigger. The dude finds ways to affect the game defensively, but he ain't a big center. Evan Mobley's got 20 pounds on him. Chet Holmgren was playing his second career NBA game. Chet Holmgren weighs 210 pounds. Those are 2 guys that physically Evan Mobley is more developed than, and in theory should be able to hold his own against. And in those first 2 games, we saw almost nothing from Evan Mobley that said, I'm ready to assert myself as not even a back-to-the-basket force, but a guy you have to pay attention to when you get the ball down low. A guy that has to demand the respect that my defender can't step up and help without any fear of me making them pay. And then Indiana happens, and he has 33 points, and you're like, oh, okay. There's the aggressiveness we've been missing. There's the little swag in his step, the little pep. He had a couple of jump shots. He'll never be a jump shooter. I'm giving up on the thought that he'll ever be a consistent jump shooter. He's just an average player right now who's pretty good defensively. And then to build on that momentum, he comes out last night and lays an egg again. These are the games without Jared Allen, and especially without Darius Garland and Karis LeVert, where he should be a focal point of the offense.
Mm-hmm.
It can't just be Donovan Mitchell. They need somebody else. And there is nothing on the court stopping Evan Mobley from getting touches and at least trying to score. And what was most disappointing me yesterday was he had a chance on multiple occasions to go one-on-one with Mitchell Robinson. And I think I tracked of 7 of the 9 chances in the first half, he passed the ball.
Yeah, he did pass the ball. And I'm sitting there.
Throw a sack and at least take that shot.
Yeah.
Like from Evan Mobley. You have to be at least a threat. And right now he's not a threat.
Just watching the game in person, man, as Anthony said, man, he just seemed like he didn't want to insert himself. And that's the thing. You see Indiana and you know it's there, but he's not consistent at all. And it's like, man, I text y'all in the group chat saying, man, they out here playing like a bunch of you-know-whats. You know what I mean? Like, and to your point, like, he don't have a jump shot. What's crazy is, like, I've seen kind of him in, like, a bunch of different shoot-arounds. Like, I get different videos and things like that. This dude really got a consistent 15-foot jump shot in practice.
Everyone's in practice. Like 70% from 3.
Tony, yeah, that's exactly what they was playing like. That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. But it was crazy to see him, like, not really bring it, especially coming off a 33-14 game. And as you alluded to, you don't have Darius Garland, you don't have Jared Allen. So you should be one of those dudes that's a focal point of the offense. And, you know, like, it's hard to evaluate the Cavs in a whole. 1 is 5 games, but 2, they haven't been at full strength. We haven't seen this total roster at its full capacity and see how everything gel, but it doesn't mean that it's not frustrating. Right now, Donovan Mitchell ranks top 5 in points per game through the 4 or 5 games early on in this season. And, like, the next highest Cav is ranked 40th, and Evan Mobley is ranked 72nd. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, you're supposed to be let's even throw the word unicorn out of there.
He's not.
But your potential, you know, said that you have the potential to be one of the elite players in the NBA. And you got to put it out there because, as we alluded to in different talking points throughout last season, Evan Mobley got to develop into that dude, you know, for the Cavs to get to where they want to be.
Yep. And
the Cavs got all the talent in the world. Another thing on last night's game, I think due to the injuries, the one thing I appreciate is, in my opinion, based on just how JB Bickerstaff coaches, we got to see a lot of young dudes get quality minutes that normally wouldn't have gotten quality minutes. Craig Porter Jr. is him. That dude is flat out him. Like, to see him assert himself, it wasn't even the points. It was like the second possession of him being on the floor. That was the first block shot he had on defense. Jumped off my seat and went crazy. Your boy Sam Merrill, you know what I mean, came in there, hit a couple of shots. But I like seeing Imani Bates get some quality minutes out there for real. So, and I think, like, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the regular season not really mattering, quote unquote, these are the things that do matter. You want to get those young dudes ready to play, man, because they might be a secret weapon that can help you, you know, down the stretch in certain points of this season. But it was a disappointing performance, and they in the Garden tonight. And I'm telling you,
we're gonna see.
We're gonna see
Mobley, if he never gets better, if Evan Mobley never gets even 1% better, he'll be a 15-year valuable player on an NBA team
for sure.
Like, his floor right now is a good quality player on an NBA team. We just expect more from him because we were told he's in that unicorn category with Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, those kind of guys, and he has the skill set to at some point be there. But Earl, when we did Behind the Glass last week in studio, we had the conversation, can he develop being a dog or you just naturally have it? And I will be right until I'm proven wrong. Then I just don't think he has it. And every once in a while, it may flicker on, but he has to put together like a quarter of a season. I'm talking 20 games where he goes 22 out of 25 games where he plays like the Indiana version we saw before I'm willing to think that he has the ability to take that next step up, because I haven't seen the progression of the jump shot. He's not good enough yet as a actual interior defender. He's a very good help defender, like a really, really, really elite help defender, just like Giannis. I said it on the show. There are certain guys who are great as rim protectors, and there's certain guys who are great as free safeties defensively, who just affect everything you do. Mobley, Giannis, they fit in that category where they are phenomenal, and you want them nowhere near the rim, but they kind of can mess up everything. He's not a guy who's going to guard and beat on the block with any success. He's just not big enough yet. To Craig Porter Jr., Earl, you know that's my guy. You know I love CPJ. If we're calling him already, I think we have to reevaluate how we use the word him. Like Donovan Mitchell can't be him, and Craig Porter Jr. can't be him at the same time.
No, you could be him on whatever level you want. Like so, like there's like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's levels to it. So like say like Donovan Mitchell is like a B-level superstar, right?
Fact.
You know what I mean? Like he's him on that B level. I don't know what level Porter is classified to be on, but whatever level he's on, that dude is him. Listen, this is a dude who was
that's a segment, Anthony, segment idea, the him meter.
Yeah, the him meter. Think about it.
Am I just gonna have to draw somebody's face at this point?
Man, this is an undrafted dude running point guard in the NBA. You coming out here, you scoring, you getting to the rim, you assisting the ball, and then you got the audacity to be out here playing defense, out here blocking shots, man. Hey, man, salute to Craig Porter Jr. That's how you show him that you need to be here, that you belong, that you him.
You know I love Craig Porter Jr., one of the first guests we've had on the show who we got reached out to saying, hey, let's get our guy on the show. His agent reached out to us. I talked to his agent last night. Shout out to Ryan. Cool dude. We're going to get Craig back on. He had that 4-minute stretch where he was the best player on the court. There was a 4-minute stretch in the first half where he crossed the dude up. He blocked the shot, made a little hesitation jumper, had a beautiful Euro step, did a fake handoff to the cup, almost dunked on a guy. There was a 4-minute stretch where he was phenomenal. And then he kind of teetered off a little bit. But when you're a young guy making your NBA debut or playing early in your career, just like Amani Bates did last night, even Sam Merrill, who's a little older than those guys, you don't get many chances. It's about what you do with those chances. And Craig Porter showed in his limited time yesterday that, this was not an anomaly what I did in the summer league. Yeah. I can be put in a game and contribute. Amani Bates, still learning, still has a long way to go, but the shot-making ability is there. And Sam Merrill, the dude can shoot the crap out the ball. Like, no ifs, ands, buts about it. The dude's an elite shooter. So I was pleased to see in their limited minutes, and Amani and Craig both played 20-plus minutes. That's half a damn game. Yeah. They showed they belonged. And that's really all you can ask for, especially in garbage time when your team's missing 3 or 4 starters and your depth and your bench is kind of crippled by injuries. That's all you can ask for guys who aren't going to be there for the full season. So it was impressive. And I'm not going to say he's him, but the Duke of ball.
No, he him. He him. Hey, speaking of a couple things I need to hit on, that I've just been paying attention to. I need to go buy as much Isaac Okoro stock as I possibly can. Because if you're gonna tell me that right now I can pencil in Isaac Okoro anywhere from 8 to 13 points a game, and I can count on that throughout the season, then man, you cooking with fish grease right now. Another thing that I was excited to see yesterday, Georges Niang, got off to a struggle, man. But to see him kind of knock down consecutive 3-point shots, not really be afraid to still let that thing fly. Like
he made
I
2 more that got called off too.
Yeah, I know he did.
No.
So I know Bull hate this type of talk when we complain about the refs, man. But listen, anybody who was in the building, I don't know what it was like on TV. I promise you the Cavs was playing the referees and the Knicks. Like a lot of the calls that was going against the Cavaliers was just absolute crazy. The touch fouls, the offensive basket interference plays, like it was just crazy, man. It was just like, damn, like this is what we up against for real.
I'll be honest, watching on TV, I didn't particularly notice anything egregious, but it is a very different feel when you're there versus when you're seeing on TV. They only show certain replays.
Yeah, it was crazy.
The full context of it. So it didn't seem that way on TV, but I will totally believe you as someone who was in attendance. And I know you watched the highlights, so you kind of get the in and out of the of what you see. The NBA does a really good job cutting the game into 10-minute snippets, but from the little bit you saw from Amani and Craig Porter Jr., you didn't see any of the bad stuff I alluded to. You literally only saw the good stuff.
That's true.
What'd you think?
I mean, if I'm just talking about my 9.5 minute encapsulated experience for this game, I wasn't necessarily, I don't want to say I was blown away, but the effort that they both put in, all the young guys put in to every highlight that they had. I mean, Amani was making cuts on defense. He was knocking down threes. Your boy Sam Merrill just dribbled it right down the court, hit one at the top of the 3 arc. It was just impressive. And it's nice to see that, yeah, we're on the question mark tilt of, what the future of this team is going to look like with Mitchell and now with Mobley and everything. But these young guys, they play with a lot of heart and a lot of passion. And it makes me excited for the future again, watching them play. And I'm sure I missed all the bad stuff, but it gave me a good feeling watching that.
Yeah, we're going to put a bow on this in a sec, and then we're going to answer some fan questions. But Earl, they play the Knicks again in about half an hour here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you expect a response? And if you don't get a response, what does that say about this team?
Absolutely, I expect a response. If I don't get one, I'm going to be disappointed. And I don't know what it necessarily say about this team, but it's definitely going to raise more questions. I think it's too early to kind of, really put in concrete what it says about this team. But it's going to start making me question the toughness of this team. And I'm already questioning certain things that I'm not ready to talk about yet, simply because it's too early in the season. But, I'm just paying attention to rotations. I'm paying attention to the effort. I'm paying attention to a lot. And I have to understand that, Darius Garland has not really been healthy. Jared Allen ain't even played a game yet. Karis LeVert was not there yesterday. So, I need to see this team get healthy, see them kind of, how they play when everybody is there. And then I can really give you a real answer on what I think about this team. Because it's really, honestly, it's hard to evaluate them until they get fully healthy.
Yeah, I kind of echo everything Earl said. I actually haven't had a chance to catch a full game yet. I've only been watching the highlights, so it's hard to speak on the overall big picture of it right now. But I am worried about them going into MSG tonight, and I think that they need to get everything together. And like Earl said, I'm paying attention to the effort, because the NBA cuts, they show the good stuff, and when you see the bad stuff in those, Mobley's really not putting in a lot. So keep an eye on that, and thank God for Okoro. I'm happy to see him stepping it up this year, because I didn't want to give up on him last year either.
What do you say, Earl?
The chat's saying that's what I'm not trying to say, so you can kind of read between the lines. I had a conversation at a later date, but just know I kind of agree with them. I was saying this last year.
Yeah, listen, if they show up tonight and don't put up a fight, they don't even have to necessarily win, but they have to put up some sort of fight. Look like they're ready. And you know what? Effort is not dependent on who's on the court. You don't have Garland, sure. You don't have Karis, sure. You don't have Jared Allen, sure. Yeah, you're probably not supposed to win the game. But you can show up, and you can fight, and you can end up contending and standing where against the team that you should. And I know what you're laughing at, Earl. I saw that. That's kind of funny.
You said you ain't slick.
But if they don't show up again tonight, it's going to confirm everything I was afraid of heading into this season. If you can change the pieces and you can change the colors of a cow, but if a cow's a cow, it's still a cow at the end of the day. You can paint it red, white, blue, black, green, yellow, purple. It's still a cow. And if you can pick up what I'm putting down, then you know exactly what I'm saying. If they don't come out and fight, I think there's a bigger issue here than the players on the roster. I'll just put it that way.
Hey, yeah, me and you saying the same thing without saying it. The Cavs got talent, and to your point, because I was thinking about something while you was talking. You going into MSG, you kind of going back to the scene of the crime, man, to where they kind of snatched your soul, and that's on the leader of this team that's not a player, to make sure that your team understand that, and they go in there and play with some heart, especially just getting embarrassed and blew out at home on national TV a night before, to where you had the stadium holds about 22,000, to where you had less than 12,000 people in the arena. So there you go.
And it sucks too, real quick, and we'll get to, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll answer a couple in the chat already for us to get to. If you have any other ones, we're going to answer those here in one sec. But it sucks that the regular season, for the most part, is so irrelevant right now, because Donovan Mitchell in the first half yesterday was brilliant. He was brilliant. And at the end of the day, none of it matters, right? And it sucks, because it feels so. I feel bad that I'm devaluing a great performance. Like, we should be talking more Cavs and more Donovan Mitchell because what he's done through
He
4
balling
games.
his ass off.
Yeah. And it's no shot at him, but the truth is with this team, until it's innocent until proven guilty. Well, like, this team's soft till they're proven not. You know what I mean? And until they do anything in the playoffs, they have to knock that stigma out of my mouth before I believe it. And it sucks that we're going to have to kind of overlook some potentially great regular season performances because they haven't proven it on the stage where they need to prove it. And I'm not sure there's any way to do that until the playoffs.
No, I think it is, because I think in the grand scheme of things, we know the regular season don't matter. But just like, we look at the NFL season and we look at the Browns and we be like, man, it's a long season. We look at the marquee matchups against certain teams, and then we check the temperature of the room. We check the attitude of the Cleveland Browns. We check the heart of the Cleveland Browns. We see what type of effort they show up with against the Steelers, against the teams like the Baltimore Ravens and things like that. And so, yeah, the grand scheme NBA regular season is too long to really put too much into it. But you know what? When you show up against teams like the Knicks and it's something to prove there and you still can't get it done, like, man, I'm sorry. That say more about your leader, because I know the Cavs got talent. I know the Cavs got players on this team that can ball out. I'm starting to question if these dudes is being put in the right situation to have success. I'm starting to question like a lot of things that I'm paying more attention to. You got a lot of young talent, and we know it. The people in the chat know it. If the injuries on this team weren't what they were yesterday, we know damn well we wouldn't have seen them young dudes getting the minutes that they got. And that's a damn shame. That is a damn shame, because this is a team that has built their youth and development through the G League and getting and acquiring players that way. And you see these dudes that clearly got some skill, and they really rarely get an opportunity to play throughout the regular season. And then if they put thrust in a situation to where they got to be called upon in the playoffs, like, then, quote unquote, the lights are too bright because you as a head coach didn't even give them an opportunity to play throughout an 82-game season in a league where people take load management so serious.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to have to start having some real conversations about this, man. Like, tonight, I'm sorry. I know it's game 5 or game 6, man, but like, don't let us get embarrassed. Don't go out there and let us get embarrassed.
All right, we got some fan questions. If you have a question you want us to answer, drop it in the chat. Ant will be looking. And we got 3 right now. We'll answer some more if we get some, and then we'll say goodbye and turn on the Cavs game. First one comes from Evan419. Happy 1-year anniversary, Evan. By the way, we appreciate you being a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Evan says, I have a question for Mikey. 1 shot for your life from the free throw line. Ant or Earl? Who you taking to make it? So I'm going to steal Earl's line here. And Earl said he's the only black man in the world who can't dribble a basketball between his legs. Those were his words, not mine.
That's a fact. I can confirm those are my words.
I've seen Anthony play. He's played with me. It was last year, kind of when I first moved here. He played with me once. And we had to make free throws to play. You got to make it when we split up teams. And I actually think Anthony made his second free throw. So with that knowledge, Earl, I love you. But I'm going to take Anthony only because I have physically seen Anthony shoot a basketball, and it was not horrendous form. So I'm going to go with Anthony based off the eye test.
I have a shot. I can't do anything else in basketball, but
I wasn't giving that guy. I wasn't giving that God-given ability.
Oh no!
I wasn't giving that God-given ability. You need somebody that can run a little bit, that can cover somebody. When I did play sports for the time I did play, like, I used to play defensive back, and like, I can actually hit a baseball. I used to be able to hit a baseball. Like, I used to go to the cages and put about like 70 miles per hour, and I used to be able to hit it consistently. But that whole hoops thing, like, now I'll be asking my homies, like, y'all don't even be looking at the ball, like, y'all just be like serious with the crossover, like the step back jumper, like the whole cradle and everything. Man, I ain't mad at y'all. Like, my little brother can hoop too. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I was a point guard / shooting guard when I did play, but that was so long ago. I was a soccer player, man. Like, born and bred.
Not the Stanley Hussons.
Yeah, that is
like, it is what it is, though. You know what I mean? But I can cover somebody. You need a DB. You need somebody that can cover somebody. I'm your guy.
All
You
right,
need
wait,
somebody
hold
that
on.
can make a jump shot.
You gotta catch a pass, and it's either you gotta run the route against Earl or run it against Tyvis. Pick
no
one.
offense to Earl, but yeah,
You pick
once
Earl,
again,
right?
you're asking Earl against an NBA player. Come on,
I don't know.
I mean, an NFL player.
Been a
excuse
couple
me.
years. Maybe you could get one off on Ty.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I need
No,
suggestions too. Where should I go eat? I'm thinking about pulling up the parallel.
Are you not
to go
getting
get-
Wingstop like usual?
I had Wingstop yesterday.
Of course you did. Is the
Yeah.
crispy chick on the way? That's our
I
other
don't
go-to.
know. I don't know.
crispy chicken.
I don't mind going to the crispy chick at this hour. Like it don't bother me
I've
at
been on
all.
55th. I've been on 55th at the Agora. I don't know how many times in the dark. I don't
Yeah,
care.
like it's about whatever. So I don't know. I'm just hungry, man, and it's definitely time to watch the Cavs. But
we got
yeah,
we got two more viewer questions at least. Let me get these last two in here. We'll start with you, Ant, and then we'll go with Earl, and I'll finish this up. But this from Tony Maselli? Which of the three Cleveland teams would you rather see win a championship, and why?
I mean, probably the Browns, right? Like after the team moved and came back, I think this team means more to the city than the other two. Not like saying the other two don't matter at all, but I mean, we know it's a Browns town, and the Cavs have gotten one. Personally, I'd want to see the Guardians because I just care more about the Guardians, I think, than the Browns overall. But if I had to pick for the city, it'd definitely be the Browns. No questions asked.
Earl?
For me, I mean, of course, everybody know I love the Browns, but like sentimental reasons, like I got a deceased grandfather, and my father is no longer here, and that's that connection. I seen pictures. I was born in '87, and I seen pictures of me sitting on my grandfather's lap, during the AFC Championship games against the Broncos, and so like I can remember when I started really like understanding what I was watching on sports as a 4 and 5 year old little boy, like by default, I love the Browns. You know what I mean? Like I came into this loving the Cleveland Browns. I can still remember so many Sundays as 10 years old after the Browns came back in '99 and going forward on Sundays, just sitting there with my little brother and my dad watching Browns games and hooping and hollering and screaming when we scored touchdowns, being excited when we won and being pissed off when we lost. One of my favorite memories is the Andre Davis 99-yard touchdown from Jeff Garcia. I can still see my dad going absolute bonkers behind that play. I got a lot of sentimental value tied up into the Cleveland Browns. Like that, I can't wait. I can't wait for the Browns to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I've seen a Patriot Super Bowl parade when I was in college. I've seen a Giant Super Bowl parade when I was in high school, and they were both crazy. And I think a Browns Super Bowl parade would make both of those two combined look like a JV party. Like that's honestly what I expect Cleveland to look like if the Browns were to win a Super Bowl.
You wasn't here. You wasn't here.
Probably,
Anthony
yeah.
can attest to this. The Cavs parade is what
that's what I'm
we
saying.
call stupid, right?
If the Cavs parade was that, times about 75 for the Browns.
Listen, the Cavs parade will be like it would be a peasant compared to what the parade will be like in Cleveland. Like I stay like I tell people all the time, like out Euclid, you know what I'm saying? I stay out Euclid. Forget starting the parade on Euclid, the street. The parade will start in Euclid and head downtown 90 West. Like that's how crazy the parade will be. You think I'm joking, McNuggets, I promise.
No. Like, I'm laughing because I'm thinking I would rent out my apartment as an Airbnb. And I'd make 6 months of rent in one weekend.
Mike, I almost got fired from my job for the Cavs. Like, I worked at GNC at the time, and they weren't going to let me go to I didn't end up going to the Cavs parade, but I almost took the L and got fired to go to the Cavs parade.
Yeah, it'd be absurd of the most epic proportions, and I don't think a city in America is more deserving of a championship parade for the team that they love and root for harder than Cleveland does with the Browns. So it'd be fun. Championship parades are all fun, but I think the Browns would be unmatched. And I think anything else would just be the wrong answer. Last one comes from Strauss. He says, why don't you guys have Maurice Claret on anymore? Mo's the busiest man in the world. If you guys don't know, Mo does about 780,000 different things. He's all across the country. He speaks to basketball teams, football teams, high schools. He does motivational speaking. He opened up and has real estate. The man is the busiest man in the world, and trying to find a consistent schedule with him has just been damn near impossible. And it's a good thing for him. That means he's busy and making a lot of money. So good for Mo, but the timing wise and getting a consistent schedule just didn't really fit into play. Well, we love Mo. Great guy. Maybe we'll bring him on for Michigan week, but yeah. So he's just a busy man. Earl, did you figure out where you're eating tonight?
No, man. I might pull up at Parallel.
What is Parallel?
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
It's this new spot, man. I done been there. This would be like my third time there, but a friend of mine that I actually went to elementary school with, she owns it. The name of it is Parallel Lounge, and they have like I think dollar wing night and R&B night on Wednesdays.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a great.
Go get yourself some wings, bro. That's an easy choice.
It's a great atmosphere to sit up and watch the game. Like the real clean, real pleasant, real professional. They got complimentary like treats and everything. And I know the DJ that be spinning. Me and him actually went to media school together. So
R&B night sounds lit.
Yeah, so I'm about to
go check out Earl at Parallel. We appreciate y'all tuning in to Behind the Glass tonight. We'll be back on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show tomorrow. Anthony is in the producer's chair, and we will see y'all at 11.
See you guys in the morning.